Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Glenn again. Now, kumusta kayong lahat? At alam kong kapansin-pansin yung hindi ko pag-upload ng mga sumunod na episodes natin. So, ang huling episode natin ay last 2 years pa, no? Pero don't worry kasi yung mga ano natin um, episode na gagawin ko sa mga susunod na araw ay based pa rin sa pinaka-latest and updated module outline ng Microsoft. So ano nga ba yung reason kung bakit hindi ako nakapag-upload sa loob ng 2 taon ng sumunod na episode? So una, sobrang naging busy ako sa aking personal life kasi naghanda ako ng wedding namin. So nung 2020, actually nung 2022 nag-i-start na ako mag-prepare for the wedding. Then naging busy ako, nag-apply ako ng second job ko. So pinagsasabay ko yung full-time ko and yung aking part-time. So yung naging part-time job ko ay nagtuturo ako ng ITIL and Azure sa mga company. So may kumuha sa aking IT training center to be an instructor dun sa mga enterprises. So naging busy ako that time. Sa loob ng 1 taon nangyari yon. Then ang nangyari pa is naging busy din ako sa ministry, sa church ministry namin. Naging busy din ako sa pre-prepared for the wedding. And at the same time, nagma-master ako ngayon. So kumukuha ako ng Master of Science in Information Technology sa Bulacan State University. And lumipat na rin ako ng ibang company. So ayun, so meron akong bagong certification which is the SC900, no? SC900, ito yung isa sa mga certification ni Microsoft. So ito yung Security, Compliance, and Identity Fundamentals, no? So certified ako, that's my newest certification. So sobrang busy ko sa loob ng 2 taon and ngayon na lang ulit ako nagkaroon ng time to create the new episode. So this new episode, ang ating objective dito is we are going to describe the factors that can affect the cost in Azure. We are also going to compare yung mga pricing calculator using the pricing calculator and the TCO or the total cost of ownership calculator. Okay? Di-describe din natin yung Microsoft Cost Management Tool and ano ba yung purpose ulit, no, ng tags. So don't worry kasi itong episode na to ay latest pa rin, based pa rin to sa ating Microsoft updated outline for 2024. So I am recording this episode today, October 10, 2024. Okay, and the um, the latest outline course ay kinuha ko just recently. So hindi to outdated. Okay? So there might be some episode previously na hindi nakasama sa AZ900 na exam, pero it is still good to understand them, it is still good to know them kasi mas maraming alam, mas maganda. Okay? So napansin ko sa exam ng Microsoft, medyo kino-concise na nila yung mga courses sa fundamental. So, pero kaya medyo hindi na kayo masyadong mahirapan if you are going to take the course and the exam this 2024 or moving forward. Okay? So, let's start this episode. So, ano ba yung mga factors that can affect cost in Azure, no? So, habang ang karamihan ng mga enterprise businesses ay nagshi-shift na from CapEx to OpEx, dapat matandaan ng kung sino man ang nagma-manage ng Azure na may mga factors that will affect the cost of the resources. sa Azure. Ang ilan sa mga ito ay yung resource type, no? Ano ba yung mga resource type, paano ito nakakaapekto, yung consumption, pag-uusapan natin itong mga 'to, maintenance, geography, subscription type, and Azure Marketplace. So, natatandaan niyo 'no, sa pag-create ng isang, Azure resource 'no, we specify the resource type. So, for example, una ay ang resource type yung settings ng resource. For example, yung Azure region 'no, if you are going to create a virtual machine 'no, you specify the Azure region. So, every different region kasi 'no, they offer different costing 'no. Kapag nagpo-provision ka kasi ng resources, yung Azure ay naglalagay ng metered instances, magge-generate yon ng record na ginagamit para ma-calculate yung bill mo. So another example is yung blob storage, no? I-specify mo dito yung performance tier, an access tier, redundancy settings, and a region, no? Bawat region nga ay iba-iba ang magiging impact sa cost, no? So again, with a virtual machine, you have to consider licensing for the operating system and or other software. The processor and the number of cores for the VM, no? The attached storage and the network interfaces, so yun yung mga extra resources na ina-apply mo sa provision ng virtual machine, no? So just like with the storage, now provisioning the same virtual machine in different regions may result in different cost. So again is yung consumption. Pag sinabing consumption, the pay as you go model has been a recurring theme now representing a cloud payment structure where you are billed for the resources you consume within a billing cycle. So ang pay as you go model ay recurring, no? Na kumakatawan sa isang, cloud payment structure kung saan sisingilin ka para sa mga resources na ginagamit mo sa loob ng isang billing cycle. Kung tumataas ang iyong compute usage sa buwan na ito, no, for example October, tataas ang iyong bayarin. Sa kabilang banda naman, kung mas kaunti ang iyong nagagamit na month na 'to, this month 'no, mababa ang iyong gastos. So flexible talaga itong pay as you go payment model 'no. Kung anong ginamit mo, yun ang babayaran mo, okay. So next is yung maintenance 'no, bakit may apekto sa cost sa Azure 'no. Importante talaga na meron tayong monthly maintenance check sa mga resources natin sa Azure para sure na lahat ng nasasama sa bill ay talagang nagagamit sa daily operation natin. Kung hindi naman, dapat i-consider na i-delete or i-decommission na lang 'to kasi kahit na naka-powered off yung isang virtual machine, it still generate cost, 'no. So, kahit na sentimo lang naman yung nage-generate niya, pero if you have 100 machines or 1,000 of machines then, it still generates money. So, nagmamahal pa rin. So, next is yung geography. Iba-iba naman yung pricing ng bawat region 'no, kasi nakadepende sa variation ng power, labor, and taxes. Bawat region ay may nagtatao, may staffs 'no. Sa mga data centers may mga network engineers tayo 'no, and of course sinuswelduhan sila 'no, sinuswelduhan sila ang gumagamit, basta ginagamit yung data center 'no. 'Di ba gumagamit naman talaga ang data centers ng electricity and maintenance ng facilities na hindi naman yan literal na nasa cloud or nasa ulap na lumilipad 'no. It is, somewhere in different location, 'di ba? So, of course sineswelduhan sila 'no, may maintenance sila, merong security, physical security, 'di ba? Merong, sineswelduhan na tao, merong, power generations, merong, facility maintenance. So, lahat normal na trabahador din sila 'no. So, gano'n. So, yung maintenance ng data center ay mag-e-effect ng pricing na ino-offer sa mga Azure users. So, kung mas mahal yung pasweldo at yung operation sa isang bansa, mas mahal ang kanilang, magiging, rate kung dun ka magde-deploy sa bansa nila, okay. So, siguro walang data center dito sa Philippines ng Microsoft is because um, mahal tayo maningil. Mahal ang kuryente, no? So, yun. Isa yun sa mga factors. Next is yung network traffic. Simple lang 'to. Pag ang data papuntang Azure Data Center, free lang 'yun 'no, papasok. Ang paglabas ng data out of Azure Data Center 'no, ayun yung may bayad. So, dedepende sa geographical zones 'no. So, next is yung subscription type. So, alam natin na kapag naka-free trial pa tayo, mas tipid unless you want to use more resources, no? So, for example, an Azure free trial subscription involves access to a number of Azure products that are free for 12 months. It also includes credit to spend within your first 30 days of sign up. You will get access to more than 25 products that are always free, no, based on resource and region availability. Okay? Last is the Azure Marketplace. So, sa Azure Marketplace, pwede kang gumamit ng mga third-party services na compliant sa policy ni Azure. So, yung monthly cost ay affected depende sa third-party services na ginagamit mo. So, on top of your regular Azure costing, so kapag naglagay ka pa ng third-party application. Right? So, let's go now to the pricing no, versus TCO calculator. Meron tayong dalawang uri ng calculator. No? So, the pricing calculator is designed to give you an estimated cost for provisioning resources in Azure. So, if you are planning nga na mag-provision ng mga resources sa Azure, so, mangangahulugan nun is uh, kailangan mong mag-compute. No? If hindi mo komputado yung resources na 'to puwede kang magkaroon ng bill shock 'no. Parang baka hindi kayanin ng budget mo. So, kailangan mo munang i-compute yung mga resources na kailangan mo sa bi-build ng environment mo. Why? So, you can get an estimate for individual resources. Now, build out a solution or use an example scenario to see an estimate of the Azure spend. So, the pricing calculators focus in the cost of provision resources in Azure. So, puntahan natin tong isa sa mga pricing calculator. So, if you are going to azure.microsoft.com pricing slash pricing slash calculator. So, dito makikita mo kung paano mag-calculate by specifying the resources, no? So, puntahan natin 'to saglit. Ito yung pricing calculator. So, kapag mag-specify ka dito ng isang resource, puwede mong malaman kung magkano yung iyong gagastusin sa isang specific na resource. So, for example, yung virtual machine. So, click natin 'to, then virtual machine added, then click view. So, dito you can specify no, kung saang region mo siya gustong i-deploy, ano yung type of operating system, ano yung type ng OS, and the tier na gusto mong piliin. So, there is a basic and standard. So, let's say for example, gusto natin i-deploy yan. So, let's make it default is East US. So, the instances, pay as you go. As you can see, by default, you have the estimated upfront cost na 0 and estimated monthly cost na $2,215. No? Na magbabago yan, depende sa region. So, for example, sa UAE, no? So, mapapansin mo, yung monthly cost mo magiging 2,259 na. And kung halimbawa tataasan pa natin yung instances, for example, 4 na instance sa loob ng 730 hours, so aabot ka ng 2,465 na lang. So, you can also saves money, no? If you will choose yung savings plan nila. For example, you will choose the resource, papatakbo mo yung resource sa loob ng 3 taon, no, regardless kung ginagamit mo siya o hindi, then lalabas dyan na $2,414 ang magagastos mo. So, you can also add some managed disk or you can also increase the sizes. So for example, from 32, gawin nating makatotohanan, no? Let's for example, 8 terabyte or 8 gig, 8,000 gig. So lalabas yung lalabas yung additional disk is 400 per month. Then lalabas yung 2,823. So paglaruan nyo na lang to, no? Wala namang standard of specification ng virtual machine. So paglaruan nyo na lang kapag gusto nyo pang mas ma-explore, or kung ikaw ay nagpaplanong mag-deploy ng resource, whether sa sandbox mo or sa live environment mo, then mabuti to para magamit mo at makita mo yung budget, kung papasok ba siya sa budget ninyo. Okay? So another type of calculator na pwede natin magamit, aside dun sa calculator na ipinakita ko sa inyo kanina, merong isa pang type of calculator na tinatawag na total cost of ownership. So anong pinagkaiba nito dun sa nauna? Yung nauna, pinapakita dito yung individual calculation ng magiging cost per resource, no? And some combination of resources. Dito, sa total cost of ownership or TCO calculator, assuming na you are considering moving some of your on-premise workloads to the cloud, but first, you need to understand more about moving from a relative fixed cost structure to an ongoing monthly cost structure. Sa madaling salita, iniisip mo na, ina-assume mo na magkano ang magagastos per month, no? Kung lahat ng live environment mo on-premise ay mapupunta sa cloud environment. So, paano natin siya gagawin dito? So, let's say for example, how many servers do you have? Ilang database meron ka? Ano yung mga storage na meron ka? And ano yung network bandwidth na nagagamit mo, no, sa iyong on-premise environment. So dito sa calculator na to, you have to define yung current setup ng iyong on-premise, and by doing that, no, makakalculate na natin yung mismong initial cost natin by onboarding our on-premise setup, no, papuntang cloud. So for example, now we have servers here and we have the workload 1. So for example, itong workload 1 ay for the production. Halimbawa lang, no? Production for development, production for testing. So depende. No, for example, specify natin dito yung production for the web development. Ano ba yung mga workload? Ano ba yung environment na gamit natin? Physical servers, virtual machines, no? So it is more complex of calculations, no? So yung magiging price ng calculator dito ay nakadepende talaga doon sa isa-setup mong workloads. So number of servers, you can add additional servers, no, additional workload. For example, this is testing server. This is for production. So another server for development. So you have to specify, no? Then you have a database here. You have to specify the database, whether it is a MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, or Microsoft. Then you have a type of storage here. So hindi ko na masyadong ipapakita to sa inyo, pero it is good to know na there's a type of calculator that you can use, no, para magkaroon ng high level understanding of monthly cost if you are planning mag-migrate from on-premise to cloud. Okay? So, let's go back to our presentation. So, ayan. So, next is the Microsoft Cost Management Tool. So, using cost analysis, no, mabilis mong makikita yung total cost in a variety of different ways, no? Including by billing cycle, region, resource, and so on. So, pwede mong gamitin yung cost analysis para mag-explore at mag-analyze ng mga organizational cost. So you can view aggregated cost by organization para maintindihan kung saan nagagaling yung cost, where costs are accrued and to identify spending trends. No? So makikita mo dito yung forecasted na magiging cost mo. Kumbaga, ito yung kung tutuloy-tuloy yung paggamit mo starting today hanggang sa mga susunod na linggo, ito yung magiging cost mo, 'no? Kung makikita mo sa example, $80,000, 'no? Pero kung gusto mo makita yung mismong ngayong araw, ngayong as of this moment, magkano ang actual cost mo. So you have to check yung actual cost, 'no? So, um, you can see you can identify yung spending trends, 'no? And you can see accumulated cost over time para magkaroon ng estimate, magkaroon ka ng estimation monthly, quarterly, or even yearly. Para makita mo rin, mabangga mo siya sa budget na meron ka. No, kung importante kasi to para kung meron kang nakaset lang na budget, makikita mo na agad yung forecasted cost mo. So, napaka nice to have itong Microsoft Cost Management tool. No? So, meron din tayong alerts, no, na tinatawag. So, yung actually pinag-usapan na natin 'to nung mga nakaraang videos pa, eh, pero let me, reiterate lang 'tong bagay na 'to. So, yung cost alerts, provide a single location to quickly check on all of the different alert types that may show up in the cost management service. So, merong tatlong types of alerts na puwede mong magamit. Budget alerts, credit alerts, and department spending quota alerts. So, ano pinagkakaiba ng tatlong 'to, 'no? So again, yung budget, doon mo isa-set yung spending limit mo for the Azure, 'no? You can set budgets based on a subscription, based on resource group, based on the service type or other criteria, no? So yung budget nag-a-alert siya, nagno-notify siya you're spending too much, no? When spending based on usage or cost, no? Kapag na-reach mo na yung exceeded the amount na na-define dun sa alert condition ng isang budget, no? So yung budget alerts are generated automatically whenever the budget alert conditions are met, no? Second is yung credit alerts, it notify you, no, kapag yung Azure credit monetary commitments are already consumed, no? So pag sinabing monetary commitments are for organizations with enterprise agreements lang yon. So yung mga may EA, enterprise agreements. So credit alerts are generated automatically at 90 and at 100% of your Azure credit balance, no? Whenever an alert is generated, it's reflected in cost alerts and in the email sent to the account owners. So another one is the department spending quota. So yung department spending quota alerts, nagno-notify siya kapag yung isang department na-reach niya yung fixed threshold of the quota. Spending quotas are configured in the enterprise um, agreements portal. So kapag na-meet yung threshold, it generates an email dun sa department owners, no? And it appears in cost alerts, no? So for example, 50% or 75% of the quota, pwede kang mag-set ng alert doon. Next is the purpose of the tags. Actually, pinag-usapan natin na to nung pinakaunang-unang mga videos natin. So, again, the purpose of tags are one way to organize related resources is to place them in their own subscription. So, you can also use resource groups to manage related resources. Resource tags are another way to organize resources. Tags provide extra information or metadata about your resources. This metadata is useful um, for maraming bagay eh, no? Marami for tracking, no, for filtering. You can also set um budget against the tags, no? So you can also set a group on the tags. So maraming gamit yung tag. So it really depends on your needs. Okay? So this is the end of our episode. Um, let's see you on the next episode. And we will discuss more on the topic of features and tools in Azure for governance and compliance. So, on the next episode, we will describe the purpose of the Microsoft Purview. We will describe the purpose of Azure Policy, the purpose of Resource Logs, and we will also describe the purpose of the Service Trust portal. All right. So, if you are not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe and kindly share this YouTube channel to the aspiring cloud engineers. So if you have any question, please comment down below and um, uh, uh, I'll answer them once I'm free. So see you on the next episode. Goodbye for now.